Do you ever feel out of sync with the world, as if you're operating on an old software while everyone else is getting an upgrade? That feeling is not a personal flaw, it is a cosmic echo. The most brilliant minds of antiquity, from the Nile Valley to the Indus River, saw this as a sign of a planetary upgrade, a literal shift in the operating system of human consciousness. Forget the clichés. Together, we will unlock the authentic, historical blueprint of the Age of Aquarius, revealing it not as a hopeful trend, but as a verifiable, recurring cycle in humanity's cosmic DNA. We begin with an uncomfortable truth. The modern conversation about the Age of Aquarius, filled with promises of a sudden utopia, often leaves us with more anxiety than clarity. The gap between that golden promise and the reality of our daily lives can make it all feel like a distant, almost unattainable dream. This feeling, this sense of not quite being there yet, is a shared and silent struggle for the modern spiritual seeker. It isolates us. But what if the problem isn't the promise itself, but the framework we use to understand it? What if we've been looking at it all wrong? Imagine for a moment that human history is not a random series of events. Imagine it is a cosmic genome, slowly and deliberately unfolding. Each great astrological age is like a dominant gene within that code, and when its time comes, it is activated, expressing a new set of instructions, potentials, and challenges for our entire species. This idea that the cosmos has an intelligent code is not new, it is ancient. The Greeks, who gave us the word cosmos, defined it as order. When they looked at the stars, they did not see chaos. They saw a profound, intricate design, and they believed we were living inside a vast, thinking organism. To make this feel more real, think of your own DNA. It contains the blueprint for your entire body, even though not all of its genes are active at the same time. The cosmic genome is the same. It holds the potential for all that humanity can be, the fierce warrior, the devoted mystic, the brilliant innovator. The slow wobble of the Earth on its axis, what we call the precession of the equinoxes, is simply the biological mechanism that activates different parts of this code over immense stretches of time. So to truly understand the gene that is being activated right now, in our lifetime, we must first find the original scientists of this cosmic genome. Our journey begins where the reverence for time and the wisdom of the stars were first elevated to a sacred science. To decipher this master blueprint, we must travel back to the ancient world, to a time when myth and mathematics were not enemies, but partners in the quest for truth. While the priests of ancient Egypt held the sacred poetry of these cosmic cycles, it was the Greek astronomer Hipparchus who, around 129 BC, first translated that poetry into the universal language of mathematics. He meticulously calculated the slow wobble of the Earth, a phenomenon we now call the precession of the equinoxes. This discovery, combined with the philosophical depth of thinkers like Plato, who was deeply inspired by Egyptian thought, gave birth to the concept of the Great Year. This was a sacred marriage of two ways of knowing, the mystical observation of the Egyptians and the logical rigor of the Greeks. Together, they revealed a single, slow breath of the cosmos, lasting nearly 26,000 years. If this great year is the full sequencing of our cosmic genome, then each age within it, lasting just over 2,000 years, is the expression of a single powerful gene. The Age of Aries, for instance, activated the gene of the pioneer and the warrior, building empires and forging new frontiers. The Age of Pisces, which is now concluding, expressed the gene of the mystic and the savior, turning humanity's focus inward toward faith and transcendence. And here we arrive at a revolutionary thought. Why did they dedicate entire lifetimes to charting this? Because they understood that human history is not a chaotic series of accidents. It is an ordered, developmental progression. Just as a person moves through the impulsive energy of childhood, the deep introspection of adolescence, and the innovative power of maturity, So too does the consciousness of humanity. The ancients were not fortune-tellers predicting random events. They were physicians of the soul, diagnosing the precise developmental stage of our world. So, if the Age of Aquarius is the activation of the next gene in our cosmic DNA, what is its specific function? What kind of sacred mutation is it designed to trigger within us? For that answer, we must turn from the mechanics of the stars to the psychological profiles of the gods themselves. The Greek myths are not children's stories. They are psychological profiles of the universe itself. They are a profound and poetic language for the great archetypal forces that shape our reality, the very genes of our cosmic genome. To understand the energy of Aquarius, we must look to the story of its celestial ruler, Uranus, the primordial god of the star-filled sky. He was the source of all potential, a boundless field of pure creation. But a shadow grew in his heart. Fearing the power of his own children, the Titans, he suppressed them, imprisoning the future to preserve the present. Here lies the code. The myth of Uranus is a timeless parable about systems. It teaches us that any structure, no matter how powerful, that sacrifices innovation to maintain control is programming its own sudden collapse. Uranus was not overthrown by some outside force. He was undone by the inevitable consequence of his own resistance to change. Now, consider this. For millennia, Uranus was simply a myth. The planet itself was unknown. Then, in the year 1781, it was officially discovered. This was the exact historical moment of the American and French Revolutions, a time when the world was convulsed by the cry for freedom and the shattering of old monarchies. Those who mapped the heavens saw this synchronicity, this perfect echo between the sky and the earth. They named the new planet for the ancient god whose story so perfectly described its energy. Sudden revelation, technological shock, and the rebellion against stagnant authority. The activation of the Aquarian gene is therefore the awakening of this mandate from Uranus. It is an evolutionary impulse, written into our collective DNA, compelling us to dismantle the systems, both external and internal, that no longer serve life. It is the immune system of consciousness itself, rising up to correct the disease of stagnation. If this new gene is designed to provoke such a profound systemic rupture, how does the individual soul not only survive, but evolve through the resulting chaos? For the owner's manual of consciousness, we must journey east. If the great year is the cosmic hardware, a master blueprint written in the stars, then the Vedic Yugas of ancient India are the software, the operating system that consciousness runs in each great epoch. This ancient framework describes a vast cycle of consciousness, moving through 4 distinct ages. The final and most dense of these is the Kali Yuga. It is often called the Dark Age, but that translation misses its sacred function. The Kali Yuga is the age of maximum separation. It is the point in the great cycle where consciousness is most deeply immersed in matter, a necessary phase for the human ego and our sense of individuality to fully develop. It is not a cosmic mistake. It is a vital part of the curriculum. But are we still in its deepest shadows? Here we turn to a specific, verifiable source of wisdom. In his book, The Holy Science, the great master Swami Sri Yukteswar, guru to Paramahansa Yogananda, offered a profound reinterpretation. He revealed a shorter yuga cycle of 24,000 years, one that aligns almost perfectly with the great year of the Greeks. According to his sacred timeline, humanity passed the nadir of the Kali Yuga centuries ago. We are not descending into darkness. We are climbing out of it, ascending into an age he called the Dvapara Yuga, an era defined by energy, technology, and a returning memory of our true spiritual nature. This is the key. The transition described in the Vedic texts is a mirror image of the Aquarian promise. The shift out of the Kali Yuga is a move away from rigid dogma and gross materialism. The ascent into the Dvapara Yuga, described as an age of energy, perfectly describes the last 200 years, the discovery of electricity, the unlocking of the atom, and the creation of global information networks. It is the same story, told in a different sacred language. We now have all the components. We have the hardware blueprint from the architectural minds of Egypt and Greece, and we have the operating software from the spiritual scientists of India. It is time to assemble them, to run the program, and to see what this ancient machine reveals about our precise moment in history. This is the moment of convergence, where the three great rivers of ancient wisdom flow into a single unified ocean of understanding. What we have discovered are not three separate, competing stories. They are three essential chapters of the same universal text. Egypt and Greece gave us the cosmic mechanics, the vast, predictable cycle of the great year. Greek mythology gave us the archetypal energy, the rebellious, innovative force of Uranus. And ancient India gave us the journey of consciousness, the soul's ascent from the darkness of the Kali Yuga. And here is the great revelation. The Age of Aquarius is not just an astrological transit. It is the simultaneous, unified expression of all three. It is the same great storm being described by three master meteorologists, standing on different continents, all looking at the same sky. This understanding brings with it a profound sense of liberation. It means the immense pressure to create a new world is not entirely on our shoulders. The change is a biological imperative of the cosmos itself. Our task is not to push the river, for the river is already flooding. Our task is to stop building dams. Our outdated mental models, our rigid emotional patterns, our brittle social structures, these are the dams. The chaos and uncertainty we feel in the world today is simply the sound of the water, the irresistible current of evolution, forcing its way through these old obstructions. That feeling of being out of sync, that quiet but persistent calling for something more. It is not your imagination. It is your own consciousness, your own spiritual DNA, vibrating in resonance with the activation of the cosmic genome. You are feeling the future, attempting to be born right now through you. Ancient wisdom is not meant to be admired in a museum. It is a living technology, designed to be used. So, how do we consciously activate this Aquarian gene within the intimate laboratory of our own lives? We can begin with a simple but profound practice. Call it the legacy versus potential audit. First, with gentle honesty, we identify the legacy software. The energy of Pisces, the age we are leaving, was centered on faith in external authority, on hierarchy, and on the virtue of sacrifice. This was not wrong. It was the necessary operating system for its time. But where is it still running in your life? Is it in your career, where you wait for permission to pursue a new idea? In a relationship, where you believe you must sacrifice your needs to be loved? In your spirituality, where you accept a truth without feeling it for yourself? Choose just one area. Now we define the Aquarian potential. The energy of Aquarius is about direct knowledge, authentic expression, and inner truth. So what is one small action that embodies this new energy? If your legacy program is waiting for permission, the Aquarian action is to begin the first small step of your project. If the legacy is sacrifice, the action is to set one kind, clear boundary. If the legacy is blind faith, the action is to do the research yourself. The action itself can feel small, almost insignificant. That does not matter. Because this is not just positive thinking. This is an act of conscious gene expression. With each small, deliberate choice to operate from this new code, you are sending a clear signal through your entire being. You are strengthening a new neural pathway. You are telling your own system that the upgrade is being installed. You stop waiting for the future to arrive, and you begin to embody it. We have journeyed today from the banks of the Nile to the temples of Greece and the ashrams of India, only to discover that the map to our future was carefully preserved in our most ancient past. As the philosopher John Shar once wrote, "The future is not a place we are going to, but one we are creating. The paths are not to be found, but made, and the activity of making them changes both the maker and the destination." You are both the heir to this cosmic genome and one of its living architects. The ancient ones provided the blueprint, the grand design of the house. But the interior, the way the light and energy flow through its rooms, that is your signature to write. If this deep dive into our cosmic inheritance has activated something within you, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to Mystic Sages for more journeys into the heart of wisdom. And in the comments below, share which Aquarian gene innovation, community, truth, or freedom you will choose to express with one small action this week. Let us inspire one another as we build this new world together.